everybody, Tina here. Welcome back to my channel. This is my third installment of my birth story. So this time I'm going to take you back to August 13th, 2007. So, yep, it was 10 years in between my second and my third baby. So again, this is a collab with Lindsay and V Loves Collabs on Facebook. I will put those links in the description box. So Wyatt's was my most traumatic birth. I will just start off by saying that. I was being induced, so my due date was the 26th, but she wanted to take me a week early and induce me, so I agreed, of course, because it was in the hundreds. It was hot, very, very hot, and I was very, very huge. This was July. I was huge. I was miserable. I was 35. So, yeah, I had a new husband, so we were having our first child together. And so I was scheduled to be into the hospital at 7 in the morning. It was Monday, August 13th. So we go into the hospital, we get all hooked up to the machines. I get my Pitocin. Everything's going great. Again, I wrote a pregnancy journal. I did read this before I am making this video just to kind of refresh myself. So, everything's going good. It comes to, it's like, in the afternoon time, and I am not progressing. I think I stayed a 4 pretty much all day. I was starving. They told me I couldn't eat beforehand, like after midnight. So, I was starving. My mom and my sisters had went to Paco's to eat, and they brought food back. So when the nurses would leave, I would eat. But I thought they didn't know, but they did know. So they tried to break my water, and they told me that it wasn't ready. So about 10 minutes later, I coughed, and my water broke on its own. So I was like, yay, like it's going to progress. And about 4 o'clock came, and she started talking about a C-section. And I did not want a C-section. I didn't even want an epidural. But I was in so much pain. They had given me a few shots of Talwin, I believe, and it just wasn't working. I was just miserable. So I think it was like 1 or 2 o'clock. They came in and gave me an epidural. I had finally agreed to have an epidural. It was the most excruciating pain ever, and I didn't know why at this point yet. So I get my epidural, and then I'm feeling great. I'm not feeling any of the contractions. They said, you get the epidural, your body will relax and will help you dilate. So I got the epidural, I relaxed. I was even doing Sudoku puzzles. So then they come in to check me, and I still hadn't moved. I was still 4. Like, okay, now they're starting to talk C-section. I am totally against the C-section. So, at this point, they realize he had turned face up. So he is now sunny side up, and which is why I'm not progressing. So now I've had my epidural. He's face up. They want me to see if I can get him to turn, myself. So now I was 211 pounds. I was huge. I mean, this was, like I said, this was July. He wasn't born until August 13th. So, I mean, and there right there, it's July 4th. So, I mean, more than a month and a half to go. Or more than a month to go, I meant. So, they get me on my bed, on my hands and knees, and tell me to hula hoop, pretend like I'm hula hooping. The funniest sight, I'm sure, to ever see. So I kept falling off the bed. I couldn't hold myself up. I had, my legs were numb. So I have my husband on one side trying to hold me up. I don't even know who was on my other side trying to hold me up, to try to get myself to hula hoop to see if I can get him to turn. He wouldn't turn. So I'm still fighting the C-section. I don't want the C-section. I want them to try anything. I had already delivered, Austin was sunny side up. So I had already delivered. It was the most excruciating pain ever, but I didn't want a C-section. So about 6:10, 6 o'clock, somewhere around there, they come rushing into the room. I didn't even get a chance to say too much. Pretty much, Wyatt had went into distress and his heart rate was 0, and they needed to get him out ASAP. So, I mean, it was to the point I didn't even get a decision anymore. Now they're coming now, it's an emergency C-section. So they had known that I ate. I didn't know they knew, but they did. So they come in with some drink for me to drink, and they don't tell me what it is. They just tell me to drink it. So I drink it. It's something to make me throw up all the food that I had eaten. So there's my husband, rushed to my aid, try to catch it all in his hand. What he didn't catch, our friend Brandon had grabbed what he thought was the garbage. It was actually the closed linen bin. He grabbed that to catch the rest of my puke and what was in his hand. That was funny. Not really. It was on the floor. It was just gross. So then I don't remember if they brought my husband clothes to put on, or if they made him go somewhere, but they kind of rushed me into the OR and they wouldn't let him come in right away. So they are not explaining anything to me. I get rolled into this operating room and they want to get me from this bed to this bed, which kind of reminded me of like a cross. So they get me off that onto this, and nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's rushing. There's probably 20 people in the room, and they're just rushing to get everything set, to get me ready. So they get me on this bed, and they're taking one arm and tying it down, and one arm and tying it down. So I'm stuck down to this bed like this, and they're putting this blue sheet up in front of my face. And the anesthesiologist asked me if I wanted to, he was like right above my head. He asked me if I wanted to be awake or if I wanted to be put to sleep. They wanted to put me to sleep. I didn't want to be put to sleep. I wanted to be able to hear my baby's first cry. So he's given me my medication. They're getting ready to start my C-section, and my husband is not in the room. So I'm like, I don't see my husband. Where's my husband? So they go and get him. They start, cutting me. I felt like I could feel it, like I could just feel the pressure. It didn't really hurt, but I could feel that they were doing something down there. They got all, everything open. They get him out at 6:42. He was born. So the second they cut his cord, my body went into distress. I started bleeding everywhere. My husband took many pictures inside our C-section room, our operating room, and I mean, the amount of blood that was on the floor, that was on the bed, that was everywhere. So I didn't get a choice. Pretty much, he just knocked me out. The anesthesiologist put me out. I remember him saying, we have to put you to sleep. And I was like, no, I don't remember nothing after that. But they got me stabilized. It was about, I don't know, 2 hours later. I had already had the baby. And the one thing I do remember, because I already had 2 boys, I really, really, really wanted a girl. And even when the ultrasound lady told me that I was having a boy, I didn't believe it. I really thought I was having a girl. But no, the first thing I remember before they knocked me out was my husband saying to me, Tina, it is definitely a boy. Yeah, whatever. So, just kidding. I love my boys. So I don't really remember being wheeled back to my room, but I remember I remember opening my eyes and seeing like my room was full. I have a lot of sisters. I believe my nephews were there. My 2 older boys were there. My husband's son was there. My parents, my sisters, everybody was there. The first thing I remember opening my eyes was my son Austin was holding Wyatt. And I don't remember if it was my mom or my husband that realized I was awake, but they had both, come over to me. I just wanted my baby. I wanted to see him. The only part I really remember him seeing is they kind of wrapped him up and brought him to my face so that I could give him a kiss and see him. And then they took him away, and then they knocked me out. So I woke up. I remember waking up, and I was shaky. That is like the one thing I remember that was completely different, after having the baby, was I couldn't stop shaking. I guess it was the medicine. It was from the medicine, from being knocked out. But, just uncontrollably shaking. But I just wanted my baby. Here, I'm going to show you a couple pictures. I'm going to take you down. Because by the time I had my 2 younger boys, everything was digital. So I kind of made this book. This was his newborn picture that, we took ourselves. And then here's a picture of him. This was I think it was the day we brought him home. No. It was about a week after we brought him home. But, and then this one's my favorite picture of him. I love that picture. This was right before his first bath. All right, well, there is my traumatizing story of my son Wyatt. First C-section. It was just, I remember everything except for obviously once I got knocked out. But I even remember the tune of the operating room changing from when I went into distress. From, they were so worried about getting the baby out of me because he was distressed. And then it was just, bam. Once my body was cut from the baby. As of this moment, not as of this moment, but at that moment, I do not believe in inductions. I don't think he was ready to come out. I don't think my body was quite ready to have him detached from me because, I mean, reading back into my book, my husband and myself wrote in this, and I mean, he just wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. So you might be in such a hurry to get your baby out of you. Just remember, if it's not ready, if he or she's not ready, like, don't rush it. You have the rest of their life to be with them. Let them cook as long as they need to inside. It's my only advice if you're watching and you are just so excited and they're talking about induction and you want to have it. I don't know. It wasn't a good idea in that case. For me, it did not work out for me. All right. Well, if you have any questions, any comments, go down to the bottom of the page and you'll see the comment box. You can throw any questions in there if you want. I will, like I said, put the playlist of everybody's video that I'm in the collab with. I have one more video to do after this. I will put both links in this video to my previous stories, and I will probably put the link to my last story also as well, and they'll be all in the other videos too. All right, you guys have a great day, and I will see you on my next video in a minute. Bye!